Happy Monday, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to Toys, the Universe, and Everything. This week, I smell a mystery, Scooby-Doo. Whatever happened to the return of Donkey Kong for the NES? What was it? Did it ever actually see the light of day? Does the NES library need to file a missing persons report? Well, grab your Scooby snacks, like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and let's check out one of retro gaming's most mysterious cold cart cases. Everyone knows the game Donkey Kong. Designed by legend Shigeru Miyamoto and Gunpei Yokoi, it was released in 1981 to arcades across America. Until the release of the NES and Super Mario Bros., Donkey Kong was the headline name from Nintendo. He spawned 3 arcade games, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., and the Bugman starring Galaga-style shooter Donkey Kong 3. With the emergence of the NES home console, however, new gameplay and game design ideas were emerging. Games like The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, and Kid Icarus were outselling arcade ports that made up the bulk of the early NES library. It seemed that public taste had left the big gorilla behind. That is, except for a couple of teases in the official Nintendo Player's Guide and the February-March 1988 issue of the Nintendo Fun Club News, Nintendo's precursor to Nintendo Power. In those publications, from Nintendo themselves, a game called Return of Donkey Kong was teased, and in both mentions that this is your chance to get hold of Donkey Kong and take control. The Player's Guide carries a copyright date of 1987, which places it at least a few months ahead of the second official tease in Fun Club News. So, what happened to this game? There are several possibilities here. 1. It was simply an early name for Donkey Kong Classics, the Kong and Junior combo cart that simply collects the first 2 arcade ports for the NES. 2. It could have been meant as an upgraded redo for Donkey Kong, like the Famicom Disk System upgrade of Mario Bros. 3. It was the game that would become Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong 94 for Game Boy. Or 4. Nintendo was not happy with the progress on this title and buried it in a drawer to be forgotten about on an unlabeled disc to perish the long death of disc rot. Is it possible that this mystery game is no mystery at all? Was Return of Donkey Kong just an early name for Donkey Kong Classics? The timetable fits. DK Classics released in late 1988 after both published mentions of Return of Donkey Kong. Maybe this was just a name change for what was always meant to be a collection cart. Maybe the reference to controlling Donkey Kong was just another example of lost in translation, poor localization of words from a Japanese parent company. The name of the game, however, certainly evokes a true sequel implication from the DK line, much like a classic Frankenstein or Godzilla movie title. Or was this maybe a planned upgrade to the incomplete home version of Donkey Kong? Nintendo did update Mario Bros. For the Famicom Disk System, so Nintendo was willing to roll up its sleeves for upgrades to existing games. Even on N64, there was a Master's Quest for Ocarina of Time, and the Wii U got an HD remaster of Wind Waker. Did the DNA of this game, where you supposedly controlled the Kong, become the legendary Donkey Kong 94 or Donkey Kong Country? That would certainly be a super happy ending, but DK94 was almost 7 years later, as was the original DK Country, and that was by a completely different developer. The odds of Rare being privy to those design notes or code make this wishful thinking at best, even though you do control Donkey Kong. The fact that DK is a playable character probably stems from a Nintendo mission statement to leave Mario out of this game. to differentiate the property from the existing Mario franchise. Was this simply a game concept that never got traction in the company? Nintendo has always believed in DK as a character property, even before his inclusion in Mario Kart and Smash Bros. Donkey Kong at one point was going to teach piano, as hinted at in this rare group of pictures, and a mentioned mysterious piano accessory. He also taught math, much to the dismay of any kids whose parents thought the NES was an appropriate way to get kids to study in Donkey Kong Jr. math. So Nintendo was willing to develop new SKUs starring Donkey Kong. He did have star power, his own Saturday morning cartoon, toys, lunchboxes, trading cards, board games. So how improbable was it that there was a new DK headline game in the works? To add to the likelihood is this excerpt from a retailer's listing that showed a code for Return of Donkey Kong, and placed it in a list of Nintendo Adventure Series titles. NES PRD is not the code for DK Classics, and Nintendo would not have listed it as an adventure title if it were. With the chip shortage in 1988 pushing back titles like Zelda 2 and Mario 3, was Donkey Kong too late to the NES party? With the 16-bit consoles on the rise, maybe Nintendo thought DK would have completed development too late in the NES life cycle to warrant the manpower. Since it never appeared as a photo or playable prototype, this may have been a great idea that just never materialized outside of wishful thinking and planning stages. Even if this mystery is never solved, things haven't gone bad for the big guy in his days since. Nintendo has featured him in games like Smash Bros., and his own DK Country series has seen consistent releases since its appearance on the Super Nintendo. Still, creative minds are left to wonder, what would this game have been? Would this have been another classic of the 8-bit era? A rare Miyamoto flop? Would there have been a new PCB for this game? New sound chip? New accessory? One thing is for sure, the truth is out there. But it would be cooler if the truth came with a prototype or some developer art. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. No matter what your questions are about toys, the universe, and everything, remember, the answer is to always have fun. And the easiest way to political success is to get yourself kidnapped by a gorilla. Right, Pauline? I just want a new SimCity update where Pauline is the mayor of the city. Maybe not. If you know of a cold cart case, drop it in the comments below, and if I can pull myself away from Jinx for the Atari 7800, just kidding, maybe I'll dive as deep as the internet lets me to find the answers. Until next time, everybody.